There's been a lot of talk about VP Harris's record when she was a prosecutor in California. Specifically, people who said she locked up thousands of black men. And to tell you the truth, and full disclosure, I fell for them. And I had a meeting with the vice president. She asked me to do something simple, which is to actually look at her record. And I looked, and she was in fact not what I imagined or professed. And I think that I felt like a lot of young black men felt. And you see these systems and these agencies just running roughshod over black men. And you can't believe that anybody who represented that agency would be any different. That's not to make an excuse. Obviously, I should have done my research. And by the way, research isn't doing things to edify your perspective. Research is about challenging what you believe.
I want to bring the conversation back to the broken criminal justice system that is disproportionately negatively impacting black and brown people all across this country today. Now, Senator Harris says she's proud of her record as a prosecutor and that she'll be a prosecutor president, but I'm deeply concerned about this record. There are too many examples to cite, but she put over 1,500 people in jail for marijuana violations and then laughed about it when she was asked if she ever smoked marijuana. She blocked evidence. That would have freed an innocent man from death row until the courts forced her to do so. She kept people in prison beyond their sentences to use them as cheap labor for the state of California. And she fought to keep cash bail system in place that impacts poor people in the worst kind of way. The bottom line is, Senator Harris, when you are in a position to make a difference and an impact in these people's lives, you did not. And worse yet, in the case of those who are on death row, innocent people, you actually blocked evidence from being revealed that would have freed them until you were forced to do so. There is no excuse for that. And the people who suffered under your reign as prosecutor, you owe them an apology.
She also is in a situation where she had a police department when she was there that in fact was abusing people's rights. And the fact was that she, in fact, was told by her own people, that her own staff, that she should do something about and disclose to defense attorneys like me that you, in fact, have been, the police officer did something that did not give you information that would exculpate your client. She didn't do that. She never did it. And so what happened? Along came a federal judge and said, enough, and he freed 1,000 of these people. If you doubt me, Google 1,000 prisoners freed, Kamala Harris.
Thank you.
In 2008, I was framed for murder and wrongfully convicted by the office of Kamala Harris, sentenced 50 to life in prison. It took me 5.5 years to ultimately get back in the trial due to prosecutorial misconduct, and it took me another year to go to my second trial, to which I was vindicated by a jury of my peers. When I got convicted, Kamala Harris was in the courtroom. When I got sentenced 50 to life in prison, Kamala Harris was in the courtroom. When I looked back and I seen her, she was smiling. And she did that stupid ass laugh that she do right now. Ain't funny?
Your truancy program got a lot of criticism too. Did you actually lock anybody up?
No, we never locked anybody up. That was an initiative that was focused on my belief that education is a fundamental right. My belief that a child going without an education is something that all of us as a community should be highly concerned with, and we should put in place incentives to get children into school every day. So I decided I was going to start prosecuting parents for truancy.
When Kamala Harris was the California Attorney General, she had me arrested and prosecuted because my handicapped daughter was sick in the hospital and had missed some days of school. Kamala's horrible policies hurt mothers like me and the Black community. My name is Sheree Peoples, and this is my story. I am a single mother. I've worked as a certified nursing assistant and a caregiver. My daughter Shayla was born in 2002. When she was born, she was diagnosed with sickle cell anemia. It affects all major organs in the body and also causes extreme pain. Her whole life, she has been on medications like morphine and Dilaudid to help her control the pain. In addition, she had to undergo blood transfusions every 3 weeks. My lifestyle became taking care of her almost full time. It is pretty typical for kids with Shayla disability to miss a lot of school.
I just got out of school. I've done 3 full days this week. Oh, I'm so tired.
And for years, the teachers were aware of her condition and her absences were all excused. California schools get their state and federal funding based off of average daily attendance. Schools are paid about $30 per student per day.
In San Francisco, we threatened the parents of truants with prosecution.
I first heard of Kamala Harris when she got elected California Attorney General.
We are putting parents on notice. We are going to make sure that you face the full force and consequences of the law.
She wrote a report saying truancy was costing California schools $1.4 billion a year in funding.
Because of truancy, California public schools lose $1.4 billion a year in funding. I want money.
Kamala then wrote a law making it criminal for parents if their kids miss school time. Kamala even wrote a book called Smart on Crime.
You can read an excerpt from the book that she just plugged shamelessly. It's called Smart on Crime.
Talking about arresting parents for truancy.
I sent a letter on my letterhead out to every parent in the public school system.
In 2012, like all California parents, I received a threatening letter from Kamala Harris saying we'll go to jail for a year if our kids even miss 10% of school days. It was like a crazy intimidation tactic.
I'm going to start prosecuting parents for truancy.
I thought, wow, this woman doesn't have any empathy. Is it because she's not a mother? I also thought, how could she not understand it would disproportionately affect people of color, single Black mothers? But honestly, I didn't imagine it could affect me. Her teachers had her medical records from the Children's Hospital. I even had a 504 plan, which was an agreement between the school district and the parents to provide care for students with disabilities. It was April 18th, 2013, in the morning. I'm in my pajamas. I had just fed my daughter, gave her medications, sent her off to school. Little did I know, there was a warrant out for my arrest. All of a sudden, the police is outside my house and they started banging on the door. I opened up my door and 2 officers entered my home. They told me I was under arrest for my child missing school. They said I was going to jail. I was shocked. I said, but my baby is sick. The school knows that. And they said, go talk to Kamala Harris. Place your hands behind your back.
My mom did nothing wrong. We did everything we were supposed to. I was always bringing doctor's notes, always calling the school to let them know that I was in the hospital.
Then they handcuff me. So they take me outside for what you call a perp walk. And oh my God, the TV news was there. The newspapers were there. You could swear I had killed somebody. It was degrading and humiliating. I was taken to the Criminal Justice Center. They took my mugshot. I was fingerprinted like a criminal, and I was terrified.
And it felt like I caused her so much pain. Because in reality, it is because of me, even though I know it's not directly my fault. Sorry.
The next day, the Orange County Register showed the pictures of my arrest. They even had a close-up picture of my hands in handcuffs to show here's a Black mother being arrested.
It was a truancy rate at over 2.5 times that of white students.
Everyone knew most truant kids were Black. I think Kamala Harris wanted me as an example to threaten other single Black mothers, like, this can happen to you if you don't get your kids in class. The police even put out a press release naming me and other Black single mothers like Toya Daniels, who got arrested the same day. But my hell was just beginning. They gave me 2 charges: failure to supervise and encourage school attendance and contributing to the delinquency of a minor. I couldn't believe it. They framed my daughter as a gang member and basically charged me with neglect. I spent the next 2 years in court fighting these charges. Kamala assigned her nastiest prosecutors to my case.
My homicide prosecutors, my gang prosecutors. And they went over there and I said, when you go over there, look really mean.
Like 10 different prosecutors. They kept pressuring me to plead guilty and spend a year in jail, but I kept refusing because I did nothing wrong. All the time I had to spend going to court, I was struggling to care for my Shayla. I lost my job and couldn't pay rent, and we got evicted. I became homeless. We had to move into a motel.
And I ended up being in the hospital a lot during her trial. And in that hospital stay was when I had my stroke.
I had a stroke about 4 or 5 days ago, and right now I'm doing pretty good. My hand is doing okay, I guess.
In 2015, after 2 years, they finally just gave up and dismissed my case. In 2018, the Supreme Court of California ruled that truancy cannot be punished by incarceration. It was unconstitutional. The courts finally stopped Kamala Harris' abuses.
You know, the power I have as a prosecutor is that with a swipe of my pen, I can charge someone with a misdemeanor, the lowest level offense possible. And by virtue of that swipe of my pen, you will have to go to a courthouse and stand in line. You will have to come out of pocket and hire an attorney. You may get arrested for a few hours. You will be embarrassed in your community. You will miss time from coming onto the Google campus. All because with the swipe of my pen, I've charged you with a crime, which I may choose to dismiss 2 weeks later. It's an incredible amount of power. And you want to make sure that the people who have this kind of power are taking seriously the responsibility in terms of understanding, as much as anything, the impact on the people who will be affected by that.
And an approach to leadership that suggests that the strength of a leader is based on who you beat down instead of what we all know. The strength of leadership is based on who you lift up.